What happens when a herd of buffalo finds a starving lion cub in enemy territory and decides to protect it? The predators circling didn't flinch, but what they did next flipped the entire law of the wild on its head. You ever hear a sound that punches you in the gut before your brain catches up? That's what happened at exactly 6:12 a.m. when the sun hadn't finished crawling out of the dry grass and the sky still looked hungover from the night. A sound sliced through the silence like a dull knife across sunburnt skin. Not a roar, not even a growl, just this cracked, pitiful cry like something too young to fight but too stubborn to die. And wouldn't you know it, it came from a lion cub, alone, in the open, in buffalo territory. Now, for context, lions and buffalo go together about as well as gasoline and birthday candles. One sees the other, and the default reaction is run or wreck. But this time, something was off. There was no pride, no mother lion, no camouflage, just this one scruffy cub curled near a half dead bush, yowling like it still believed someone might care. Most animals would have kept walking. Actually, every animal should have kept walking. But that morning, the buffalo herd stopped. Not because they were feeling charitable, these were full grown Cape buffalo, tough as railroad ties and twice as stubborn. You mess with their calves, you end up airborne. That's the system, that's nature. But then came Maburo, big bull, scarred up, carried himself like he'd once headbutted a thunderstorm just to shut it up. Maburo was the kind of leader who never second guessed a charge, never blinked at a lion's shadow. And yet, he stopped. Right there. One glance at that shaking cub, and the old bull's hooves froze mid step. Behind him, the herd fidgeted, muttered low huffs, not fear, just confusion. And then came the whisper. Why is it alone? Good question. No blood, no tracks, no carcass, no lioness trying to bait the herd with a distraction. Nothing. Just heat waves, silence, and one trembling fuzzball with the odds of a snowflake in a furnace. Then the second problem introduced itself with teeth. Three jackals appeared on the ridge like gossipers at a funeral, tail low, tongue out, eyes locked on the cub. They were in no rush. Opportunists never are. They didn't snarl. They didn't even approach. Just sat there, watching, calculating, the same way you check if your dinner's done and whether the oven's still hot. And the herd? Still frozen. Now, here's the twist. Buffalo don't save lions, especially not ones that'll grow up to hunt their own calves. That's not just risky, that's heresy in the animal world. But Maburo stepped forward. I swear to you, the earth noticed. Dust trembled under his hooves, muscles coiled like ropes under cracked hide. One snort, and every jackal flinched. Not ran, flinched, like someone opened a drawer full of loaded mousetraps. Then came Miri, younger female, sharp eyed, no nonsense type. She looked at the cub, then looked at the ridge. He cries like something that ain't ready to quit, she muttered. He's not ours, another bull growled. Neither are the jackals, Miri shot back, but you don't see me feeding them either. The silence that followed hit harder than a stampede, and that's when the herd moved, not away, toward the cub. A slow, deliberate shift, not a rescue, not yet. More like a stand, a warning to the shadows. The jackals didn't blink, they just widened their circle. A couple more slinked out from the grass. Now there were six. You could practically hear the calculators clicking in their heads. One jackal tested the edge, inching closer, didn't get far. A younger buffalo, still half green with inexperience, lunged forward, stomping the dry earth hard enough to crack stone. But the cub didn't move, not even a twitch. It just laid there, eyes glassy, fur matted with dust and something darker. And that's when Maburo, the old warhorse of a bull, did something that would have gotten him mocked a year ago. He stood over the cub, didn't touch it, didn't nudge it, just cast his shadow over that tiny body and glared at the jackals like they were already dead. Everyone froze. Again, even the wind stopped moving. 6 jackals versus 50 buffalo. Math wasn't in their favor. Not yet. But the look in their eyes said something else. You'll leave, eventually. And when you do, we'll still be here. And they weren't wrong. The system doesn't care about mercy. It's got one rule: keep walking. But that morning, the herd paused for one cub, one cry, one impossible choice. And friend, let me tell you this: what happened next changed everything. You're not going to want to miss what the jackals did next because no one saw it coming. There's something sickening about waiting for a disaster you know is coming. You feel it in your chest, that slow, crawling pressure like a freight train approaching from behind, but you can't move, can't blink, can't even breathe properly. That's what the herd felt the moment the cub stopped crying. He just went quiet, not peaceful, silent, the kind of quiet that makes even vultures pay attention. No whining, no flinching, no more calls for help, just stillness. And the jackals, oh, they noticed. One of them, the bold one with the half torn ear, stepped forward like he'd been personally invited. His body was low, tongue lolling out like this was just another casual lunch stroll. No panic, no rush, just this disgusting confidence that said, eventually you'll blink, and when you do, we eat. But buffalo don't blink. At least, that's what we thought. Maburo stood like a stone carving. Not a twitch, not a snort. Just that same cold stare, daring the jackals to come closer. Problem was, the rest of the herd wasn't made of stone. They were tired. One by one, murmurs started. How long do we stand here? This isn't our fight. Let nature take its course. Ah, yes, that phrase, the classic excuse dressed up as wisdom. Let nature take its course. You know what that really means? Let someone else feel the pain. And while the debate brewed, the jackals got busy. They stopped circling and started pressuring. Not in full attacks, just enough to test the edges. A quick dart here, a fake rush there, little scratches against the wall to see where it'd crack first, and it cracked at the weakest point. One of the younger buffalo peeled off. Not far, just a few paces, but enough. That was the signal. A tiny break in the armor, and suddenly the jackal surged forward like they'd been waiting all morning. Miri snapped first. She charged, full force, legs pounding, dust flying, horn angled straight for the bold jackal. He juked left, barely made it. The others scattered, but they didn't run. They just regrouped, smarter this time, tighter, hungrier. The herd jolted like someone lit a fuse. Half of them jumped forward, half stepped back. Chaos in slow motion, confusion, hesitation. That's all predators need. Not power, not weapons, just a second of doubt. And the cub, still unmoving. Then came the moment no one expected: the snap. Not from the jackals, from the buffaloes. One of the elders, an old matriarch, all bones and pride, let out a deep rumbling grunt and left, just turned and walked away. No ceremony, no goodbye, Just a final glance at the cub like he was a puddle in a dry season. And just like that, she vanished into the grass. Then another followed, and another. It didn't take long. By the time the dust settled, less than a dozen buffalo were left holding the line. Maburo, Miri, a few stubborn bulls, two nursing mothers, and one injured male who clearly wasn't going anywhere fast. The rest, gone. And that's when the jackals changed their game. They didn't strike. No, no, no. That would have been too easy, too expected. They howled, a long, ragged sound that echoed across the plains like a funeral song sung by liars. But it wasn't for the herd, it was for others. Within minutes, two more jackals arrived, then three more, then another. What started as a loose gang turned into a coordinated unit, ears twitching, eyes locked. No more testing. Now they were setting up. Maburo stomped his hoof hard. It was supposed to be a warning, but this time, the ground didn't tremble. This time, the jackals didn't flinch. They stared back. And then, like they had rehearsed it, they split. One group fanned left, another to the right. A third stayed dead center, eyes fixed on the cub like he was the only meal left in the world. Now, the buffalo weren't facing six scavengers. They were surrounded by 12 predators with a plan. Miri turned to Maburo, voice low but tight as wire. We can't hold this line forever. He didn't answer, just watched, measured, calculated. His eye twitched, the only betrayal of emotion. He wasn't just staring at the jackals, he was staring at the system because this wasn't about one cub anymore. This was about what breaks first: instinct, loyalty, or fear. And while the herd braced itself, the cub, that silent ball of fur under Maburo's shadow, finally moved. Just barely, but enough for the jackals to see. And the moment they did, one of them charged, not testing, not bluffing. A real, teeth bared, legs churning strike. And what happened next? This is it. The moment everything turns. You've come this far, but if you think you know where this is going, think again. The next few seconds will flip everything upside down. Stay here. You don't want to miss what happens when the jackals cross the line.